Thanks everyone for taking some time to answer some frequently asked questions. I'm Sophie Elliott and I am the Development Coordinator for Foothills Conservancy.
I'm Beth, I'm the Associate Director.
Andrew Coda, I'm the Executive Director.
I'm Brittany Watkins, I'm the Special Projects Coordinator.
I'm Rachel, I am the Office and Finance Administrator.
So we had some questions submitted over the past couple of weeks, and so we wanted to take those and answer them for you. The first question is, how do you choose what land gets conserved?
First, landowner interests. We only work with willing landowners on a voluntary basis. And next, the Conservancy evaluates the land or the property according to our strategic plan's conservation focus areas and our internal project selection criteria, and as well as according to the property's individual conservation resources or values and the public benefits. Finally, all projects have to be approved by our conservation committee and our board of directors before we pursue any conservation outcome. Most of the time it takes us anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to do a transaction.
The next question is, what do you do with the land once you purchase it? There's a few things that we can do with it. The first one is we can keep it and hold on to it as a preserved land. We have 4 preserves that is land that is owned by the Conservancy and monitored by our stewardship program. The other one is to transfer it or sell it to state parks or wildlife game land. Most of our land is that we've conserved is now public use.
We also hold conservation easements on private properties. We hold somewhere around 24 conservation easements. So those properties continue to be owned and managed by the landowner. And our interest in those private properties is simply in holding that legal agreement, that conservation easement deed, and upholding the terms of the restrictions that the landowner has agreed to.
Where do you get the money to conserve land?
We get the money through a variety of sources, which include the competitive public, state, and federal conservation grant programs, such as the North Carolina Land and Water Fund and the North Carolina Farmland Preservation Fund, as well as the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund. Another source is through grants from private foundations, also from contributions through private philanthropists. Also, we get restricted gifts from private donors, and what that means when you have a restricted gift is it's for a specific project.
Lots of grants, lots of grant writing.
We write them and we share that responsibility across all of our staff.
Yeah, and we are only missing 2 people from this call, so we're a small staff. So everyone kind of pitches in and takes on a lot of the work there. The next question is, this is a good one. How do I get involved?
Me, I'll do it.
I know, I was like looking right at Beth.
There's tons of ways to get involved with us. Now that we have Brittany on staff, of course you can volunteer with us, which is a new part of our work. We always had people that were interested in volunteering with us, but we just didn't have a staff person to spearhead, organizing that. So you can visit our website, foothillsconservancy.org/volunteer. I think there's like a little form that you can fill out, and that gets you added to the email list. Of course, you can follow our story by signing up for our other e-news. We try to send those out bi-monthly. So you can sign up for that as well. And there's a little pop-up on the screen that you'll see as soon as you visit our website. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook. You can support us with a donation of any amount. We receive very small gifts and we receive very large gifts. A little goes a long way.
When you make a donation, you're like put on our mailing list. And so you'll get you'll get the invitations to special events and our appeals and everything that we send out to our donors, you'll get included in that.
Being a part of our fundraising events is another important and kind of fun way to support what we do.
Purchase a shirt or a hat, some of our merchandise, and flaunt it out in public. So let other people know who we are and what we do by wearing some of our gear.
The next question is, are land trusts Are land trust lands open to the public?
Mostly, I'll say that most of the lands that we own, like Sophie was mentioning earlier, the preserve lands that we hold and keep, are not open to the public. And the obvious reason for that is because we're protecting the land to protect sensitive natural areas that are important to native wildlife and plants. And the other side of that is that a lot of those lands are basically just wilderness. So there's no identifying signs or structures, bathrooms, camping sites. We are working to open some of our lands to the public through building trails, which is a great way to get people out onto our lands, but also kind of steer them away from some of the more sensitive areas. And we're also working on some river access projects.
The last question is, we can all answer this one. What is your favorite project that you've been a part of?
This is kind of tough for me to answer because I do a lot of volunteer projects, and I enjoy any time I get to be outside with people and get people active and doing stuff. So, but I will say that right now my favorite project has definitely been working on the Fauna Flora Trail in Old Fort. It's just a really exciting hiking and biking trail that we're going to open to the public soon.
I really like the projects where we get to kind of hang out with the landowners and learn more about them. Beth and I did this together, but several years ago, we went out to take some pictures and hang out with some landowners that had just put a conservation easement on their land. And we got to their property and they had peacocks on their property. So that was really neat. And just to hear their story, and they were like, oh, you think the peacocks are cool? Here's all the other animals that we used to have. And they just, it's just really fun to get to know the people behind the land conservation.
I think for me, Oak Hill was such a big deal. I mean, that's a really recent project, but it's one that we went into thinking like, well, we'll just like give this a shot and see what happens. Like, hopefully it'll happen, but it was really like 50-50 at first. And I remember Andrew and I like talking about it and like just talking about all the things we could do and like just kind of like dreaming big about it. And then to see it actually happen, and all the people that came together and gave, and all the grants that were written, and just all of that hard work paying off was really awesome. I mean, and I love the conservation easements too. I remember that day, and I remember going out to a couple farmland properties too and meeting the farmers, and seeing that connection is always really special. And I love seeing the people behind the work, but Oak Hill was pretty cool.
My youngest daughter has actually participated in the Big Backyard Project for the last 2 years. So the first year was in person, and that's a summer camp that is about a week long, and the kids get to go and do activities like go to Lake James, go to the farmer's market, make blueberry jam, just a lot of cool outside hands-on activities. And then this year, because it looked so very different, they recovered beautifully, and each week we would come and we would pick up a box, and it would have a list of different activities, and they would ask us to send pictures in. And so it really gave a lot of still learning activities and hands-on activities that my daughter was able to participate in, even though everything else was closed.
I say this with absolute sincerity. Every single project we do is enjoyable and up there with my favorites. Each one of them sort of introduces a different challenge. We work with so many different partners on these projects that there's always something interesting in that mixture as well. This past weekend, I was on a big mountain bike ride in the Wilson Creek area, and it just reminded me firsthand of my first conservation project with Foothills Conservancy, 852 acres along 5 miles of the National Wild and Scenic River. And that was really my introduction to land conservation through a land trust. So that was a fun time period.
All right, well, thanks y'all for providing your perspective and answering these questions for folks. And we hope that everyone has a great rest of their Giving Tuesday.
Bye.
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 Bye, thanks.